this is Ashlyn Ramirez. I am doing my presentation on the Hispanic, Latinx, and disabled communities in community colleges and how they interact in online courses. I am doing this for Method 824 with Dr. Wagner. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so here's my title page, nothing too fancy here. I have a little overview, so my table of contents. I have an abstract. It kind of just throws in a couple little statistics here and there. So, online learning may support students with disabilities through increased flexibility, accessibility of content, and a safe learning environment. And according to recent statistics from the National Center for Education Statistics, in 2023, around 21% of Hispanic students identified with having a disability if they're undergraduates, and around 14% identified as having a disability um, from 2019 to 2020. So this underreported community often benefits from online courses, but if the accessibility is really there and consistent, it remains unknown. More research must be done scientifically on certain marginalized groups to understand how students of color are affected by online courses in community colleges. So I am focusing on a really niche group by combining both those that are disabled and the Hispanic Latinx community as well, and then tying that in with looking at only Southern California community colleges as well. So right now, around 48% of the California community college circuit consists of the Hispanic Latinx community. And before I change my slide, and they also often don't get the support that they need. The purpose is to find out students' points of view and lived experiences, which support the course's academic outcomes. The goal is to find whether digital media and discourse and online courses positively impact the educational success of disabled Latinx and Hispanic students in community colleges. It is essential to find any shortcomings or positives and alter the curriculum, especially for community college students. Some facts to look at include that students taking online courses are more likely to transfer out and complete their bachelor's degree. With both quantitative and qualitative research methods, one can prove the strength of mixed method focus. Research questions. So, my main research question is, what is the current impact of online courses on disabled Latinx Hispanic students in Southern California community colleges? Some sub-questions to build on are, how do those students perceive the quality of instruction in online courses compared to in person? How do those course structures impact students' ability to stay engaged and complete assignments? And what role does self-paced learning in online courses play in the success of the students? I am looking to use an exploratory sequential design. So my independent variable is going to be probably course GPA expectancy. And then my dependent variable will be academic performance and student satisfaction with the course. A sample size calculation should consider stratified random sampling. And I also plan on using surveys or online interviews and on top of the course grades and everything. And I feel like retention rates might also help show a kind of quantitative correlation. So a class survey will be gathered for demographic information, academic performance, course preferences, and sentiments about the class as a whole. The data analysis will summarize descriptive statistical results with the intended proof of an inferential relationship through regression analysis. Okay, so this study is going to be qualitative dominant, equal status, and sequential dependent. A joint display and an analytical integration point is another part that is going to be crucial in this study. Another variable to consider is a mediator and moderator. And for this, the variables to consider are course completion rates, GPA success, and course engagement throughout the term, including time spent on the platform and assignment submission rates. So for the quantitative part, the hypotheses, I have online course enrollment positively impacts the academic success of disabled Latino Hispanic students in Southern California community colleges. And then I have online course enrollment does not impact the academic success of disabled Latino, Hispanic students in Southern California community colleges. So I'm looking at also purposive sampling, and I also am looking at interviews that are semi-structured for personal and detailed narratives. And this interview type is to maintain student privacy while data is in the collection process. So I'm also considering observations, which can be done with course interactions to understand accessibility and impact on engagement. And data analysis will include a transcription, of course, and thematic analysis will help organize and interpret the data into categories of meaning. So all of this will be able to provide an understanding through combination, compare and contrast, and applicability. And there will also be a little mix of cross-validation in there, which will bring in a sense of accountability by interpreting trends properly. So here is one of my um, graphs that I made. So it pretty much just goes through what I just talked about, collecting survey data from participants with standardized questionnaires, analyzing that data to identify trends and select qualitative interview candidates, conduct in-depth interviews and focus groups with selected participants, and then use thematic analysis to interpret qualitative data. Then from here, you would merge your findings from both strands to draw comprehensive conclusions. And that research design follows that explanatory sequential approach, beginning with identifying patterns, followed by interviews to provide context. The target and general population is Hispanic, Latinx students of color with disabilities in online courses at community colleges in the identified counties of Southern California that I'm going to look at, which I'm not really too sure yet. I'm planning on looking in an area where there's a diverse and significant Hispanic student representation. So that's what the study sample is going to consist of for their participants. And there's going to be a requirement for that individual to be taking at least one online course in the specified community college district in order to consent to participate. And a power analysis will be used to establish that adequate sample size. So the initiative can take place via email and social media posts. That would probably be the easiest networking. There are student databases, or there's Facebook groups and social media groups that will help identify willing participants that meet the criteria. Once that is done, students will be asked to complete an online consent form and initial demographic questionnaire to confirm eligibility. Next slide. Ethics in practice, researchers must balance methodological inclemency with moral answerability. While the researcher, me, hails from the marginalized community in the study, the researcher did not attend a two-year institution. So I am Hispanic Latinx, but I am from a four-year university. So I feel like I'm able to separate myself and my work from that. And on top of that, the majority of my training for the past 12 plus years has been in journalism. So I kind of follow this integrity of old school journalism where you don't have any bias in anything. Like you're able to hold that back. So I am not really concerned about bias coming out of a survey. Um, I don't think that there will be any chances of relationships with participants because I'm not going to be looking at colleges where I have been or I have attended. So I think that it'll be fine in terms of maintaining objectivity for data interpretation. So the data from the study will vary, but it'll serve as an answer to what is going well and what's not going to go well. So here is my SWOT analysis. It just kind of goes through what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that come from this kind of study. And right now, especially with a post-pandemic hot political climate, it would be very interesting to see how exactly online courses are helping marginalized communities succeed. Or if they're not, it's it's very interesting to find out because a lot of people say that there's not enough money or funding. So, in conclusion, this study will show the value of online courses benefiting disabled Latinx and Hispanic students in community colleges from multiple perspectives. Over 80% of grant proposals did not consider programs catered to Latinx Hispanic students. And on top of this, there's not enough focus on these populations in community colleges compared to four-year institutions. So the study will highlight the effectiveness of digital learning spaces through a mixed method design that combines qualitative and quantitative data. And here are my references. And that is it. So thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate it, and have a good holiday.